give and take action, and the 4-position foundation. More about the structure, the laws, and the functionality of the universe. First, universal prime energy. God, the creator of all things, is the absolute reality, not just a God that we evoke whenever we try to explain a mystery, but the essence of life, at the heart of the way life operates and its character and nature. God is eternal, self-existent, and as we've discussed, transcendent of time and space. Now, therefore, the energy for God's existence, the fundamental energy of God's own being, must be absolute, eternal, and self-existent. Because the first cause exists with dual characteristics, that's the foundation, through give and take, for God's own power and existence. But not only is this energy the foundation for God's existence, it is the origin of all energies and forces that allow created beings to exist. We call this fundamental energy universal prime energy. Prime because it's the initial, original force, and universal because it's the energy that allows all beings to be sustained. Now let's consider how this fundamental force relates to the relationality of all things in creation, the principle of give and take action. Through the agency of universal prime energy, the subject and object elements of every entity which come out of God, express God, form a common base and enter into interaction. This interaction in turn generates the forces that every entity needs to exist, to reproduce, and to act. For example, proton and electron. Proton and electron establish a give and take relationship through electromagnetic chemical connection and form the foundation for a greater whole, an atom. Similarly, a man and woman enter into a love relationship and bear a child and form a family. Or, in everyday life, John Lennon and Paul McCartney came together, brainstormed, inspired each other, and wrote wonderful music. This is how life moves. All of the forces for existence, multiplication, and action are generated by the give and take action between subject and object. So universal prime energy facilitates a common base that allows interaction that create the forces for every entity to exist. This interaction, generating these forces through this process, we call give and take action. The fact is that nothing in the universe lives by itself or for itself. When we look in the natural world, we see that every system seeks balance. The balance between the predators in a particular environment and the prey. They will always seek a balance. The balance between high pressure and low pressure in a weather system. Or the fact that plants provide oxygen for animals. Animals return carbon dioxide for plants. Plants become food for animals, and the animals, when they die, fertilize the soil and produce new growing plants. We can find throughout the creation this ecological balance, each ecosystem seeking that through harmonious relationships. Now look at the human body. Within our body, the same thing is true. Our fundamental vital systems operate through give and take relationship. For example, we inhale and we exhale. In addition, we assimilate food, and that food goes to every cell in our body, while the waste that comes back is then dissimilated. Assimilation and dissimilation. Our circulatory system, the arteries carry the oxygen and food to every cell and bring back the waste and gas. Now, every system operates this way. Our muscles, we have a voluntary and an involuntary system, and our muscles work in pairs. One contracts while the other relaxes to accomplish most of our actions. Similarly, our nervous system, we have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system. Look at our face. We have two eyes rather than one, so that these two comparison points give us depth perception. because two different points are comparing in the brain constantly. That allows us to kick a soccer ball, or to step up on the curb when we're walking, to balance and harmonize, to dance, to move in a coordinated way. And our brain is making thousands of calculations constantly through reciprocal give and take relationships. We have two ears rather than one, so that we can tell not only the distance of a sound, but its direction, as the brain immediately compares how the two different eardrums receive the decibels. And there are example after example after example in the human body. But let's look at human society, and we can again see the principle of give and take action, that nothing lives by itself. What is a good society? It's where relationships are harmonious and healthy. Husband and wife, parent and child, brother and sister, friend and friend, teacher and student, government or leadership and people, employer, employee, etc. A harmonious society is one where there's good reciprocal relationships that begin with giving. It's not take and give or take and take, but give and take. And this principle is also enshrined in the scriptures. The Bible says that wherever two or more are gathered in his name, he will be in their midst. And Jesus said, ask, and it will be given. Knock, and the door will be opened. Seek, and you will find. Likewise, Jesus said, by the judgment you pronounce, you'll be judged. And the measure you give is the measure you will receive. Next, let's consider the principle of origin, division, union, action, and the process by which all beings come into existence. The process in which out of God, the origin, two entities are separately manifested and reunited into oneness by making a common base, having give and take action, and bringing about a new being is called origin, division, union, action. And it's the process by which all beings come into existence. Let's consider then the next step. As a result of origin, division, union, action, four positions are formed. God, the origin, the divided subject and object partners that express his dual characteristics, and the result of their relationship, a union. These four positions then constitute the foundation for the fulfillment of that being's existence. Now, any one of these four positions may assume the position of the subject partner and engage the other three as its object partners, forming a communion of three object partners. For example, God, of course, loves, cares for, and invests in each of the other three. And yet God will also respond to the needs, desires, or situations of each of the other three. Likewise, a man may feel responsible to lead and protect and take responsibility for his family. But a mature man, a mature person, knows how to, recognizes that every relationship, every couple is unique. And a mature man knows how to listen to his wife when necessary, how to allow her to lead in the areas where she is strong. And every relationship is a dynamic one and involves not only husband and wife, but can be sometimes mother and son, or father and daughter, or brother and sister, etc. And finally, a child, of course, is an object toward its father, mother, and ultimately the Creator. But also, when that child is in need or has a desire or expresses itself, parents will respond, as will God through them. So here we see these purposes of three objects for each of these beings. So let me summarize. When each of the four then acts as the subject partner and enters into give and take with the other three revolving around it, they fulfill the three object's purpose. When the origin, therefore, and the subject and object partner projected and their union fulfill these three object purposes, a foundation of four positions is established: God, subject, object, and union. This foundation of four positions is what every form of life in the universe strives to achieve and is defined by. So the foundation, the four-position foundation, is first of all the root of the principle of three stages. Because this comes about through origin, division, and union, we will see that there are three stages in the development of life, which we'll talk about later. And the number three is expressed in the nature of our reality in the universe in many ways. We'll talk about that. Secondly, the four-position foundation is the root of the number 12, because as each of the four takes on 3 object partners, then 12 object partners are created. The four-position foundation is the fundamental foundation of goodness and the realization of God's purpose of creation. It's how each being fulfills its purpose and reflects God's nature and ultimately achieves goodness by achieving the four-position foundation. It's the fundamental foundation for the life of all beings, providing all the forces necessary for their existence. Therefore, we can say that the four-position foundation is God's eternal purpose of creation, because every being strives to achieve it. Now, in human life, what is this four-position foundation? God, man, woman, and child. It is the family. Not just any family, but a God-centered family. And so Jesus said in the 19th chapter of Matthew, haven't you read that from the beginning, he who made them male and female, and said for this reason, the two are to become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. And what God has joined together, let not man put asunder. From the beginning, we're created male and female to realize this relationship and bring about new life. How can two bodies become one flesh? Only by producing a child, a union that reflects both of the parents. This four-position foundation, which in human life is the family, is God's eternal purpose of creation.